Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be learning about Android application development introduction. Let's first see what is Android. Android is a Linux-based operating system designed primarily for touch-screen mobile devices such as smartphones and tablet computers. It is currently developed by Google in conjunction with the Open Handset Alliance. It is a very widely used operating system which has more than 40 million users across the world. In this course, we will be developing Android applications. So let's see. Android application consists of one or more of the following classifications. Activities. Most of the time, we will be working with activities. An application that has a visible UI means user interface is implemented with an activity. That means if in an application you are seeing some graphical user interface, it is an activity. When a user selects an application from the home screen or application launcher, an activity is started. Services. A service should be used for any application that need to persist for long time, such as a network monitor or update checking applications. Services runs in backend and it is running persistively to provide various functionalities. Content providers. You can think of content providers as a database server. A content provider's job is to manage access to the persisted data, such as SQLite database. If your application is very simple, you might not necessarily create a content provider, but if you are building a larger application or one that makes data available to multiple activities or applications, a content provider is the means of accessing your data. We will not cover these content providers in our course, but we will look at them very briefly. Broadcast receivers. An Android application may be launched to process element of data or respond to an event, such as the receipt of a text message. That means if someone is broadcasting some data and our application is receiving that particular data. So we will be developing our Android application around these things, and from the next tutorial we will be looking at development of Android applications. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this Android application development tutorial, we will be learning about elements of Android. We all know what is Android. It is an operating system for mobile devices. It is very widely used and it is very user friendly. But what makes the Android platform? So let's see the platform elements of Android operating system. Android is an operating system which interacts with hardware. So Android uses Linux 2.6 kernel to interact with hardware and to perform the core level functionalities. We all know that Android provides very rich graphic user interface, and all these graphics are using OpenGL graphics. So all these graphic rendering things that we see on our Android phones is done using this graphic processor. Then Android uses an integrated browser which is based on WebKit. All our structured information such as our contact numbers, text messages, and other information that we stores either in applications or natively in our Android phone is stored using SQLite database, which is a free and open source database written in C++. And finally, they use Dalvik Virtual Machine, which is very optimized for mobile devices. It provides them capacity on demand and security at a very core level. So these are the elements that makes the Android platform. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be learning about downloading and installing Android development tools and software development kit by Android to start developing Android applications. We are at www.android.com, and this is how this page looks like when I am recording this course. Here you can find various information about Android, but our interest is in the development, and we will be going to this developers link, which is developer.android.com. Here it is. You can see all information is given about Android and its development, about Android and get SDK, the source of Android platform, the support link, and some legal information if you want to go through. Here you can find various things if you want to design Android apps, getting started, stylings, patterns, building blocks, some downloads and videos are there. If you want to develop Android apps, there are training, APIs, tools, and this is the link which is important for us right now, is get the SDK. Now SDK stands for Software Development Kit. Go to this link. Here you can find several links on the left hand side, which is developer tools, downloads, and other. Our interest is in this link, which is download the SDK ADT bundle for Windows, means Android Development Tool Bundle for Windows. It is a one package that includes Eclipse and ADT plugin. Eclipse is an integrated development environment which is built upon Java, then some SDK tools, Android platform tools, and the latest Android platform, and the latest Android system image for emulator. So click on this link to download this package. After downloading that, we will go through setting up the ADT bundle. Here the instructions are given how to install the SDK and Eclipse IDE. which is very simple. We just have to unpack the zip file and save it, and then we have to open Eclipse, and the IDE is already loaded with Android development tools. So this is how we can download and install Android development tools bundle for our Android application development. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this Android application development tutorial, we will be going through some prerequisites and overview of Android application development. Prerequisites means what you should already know to go through this series. Java. If you have some experience in writing code with Java, that would be helpful to develop Android applications. XML. If you have worked upon XML, it will help you to build a very good user interface in Android applications. Eclipse. Eclipse is an IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and we will be developing our Android applications in Eclipse. So if you have some past experience with Eclipse, that would be very good. Object-oriented programming. It is an programming concept which helps us to develop Android applications in a more efficient way. So, if you have past experience with OOP, or you have worked on applications that use the same concept, that would be very helpful. And the last is Android user experience. If you have used Android phone in your real life, that would be very helpful. So all these things are required to develop Android applications. If you don't have the knowledge about Java, XML and Eclipse, don't worry. Go to our courses on Java, XML and Eclipse, and you will be ready with these prerequisites. Now let's have a look at Android versions. Android version 1.5 was Cupcake using the API level 3, and so on. 1.6 was Donut using API level 4, 2.1 Eclair API level 7, and the latest is Jelly Beans, which is version 4.1 and uses the API level 16. We will be developing with 2.3, which is Gingerbread. Gingerbread is the code name for version 2.3, and we will be using API level 10 for this course. Now let's see some fundamentals of applications in Android. The applications in Android is written in Java. So that's why we needed the prerequisites that you have the knowledge of Java. The user interface of Android applications is being developed using XML. XML is Extensible Markup Language. The application runs in Linux processes and their own sandbox, and the application are being compiled into Android package files which are .apk file. So this was the tutorial upon some prerequisites and overview of Android application development. Thank you. Welcome friends. In our previous tutorial, we have downloaded Android Development Tools bundle from Developers website by Android. In this tutorial, we will be getting started with our development environment. This is the zip archive that we have downloaded in our previous tutorial. I have decompressed it. It is ADT bundle for Windows. I am running on Windows 7 64-bit. Let's open this. There will be two folders, Eclipse and SDK. We will create one more folder here for our workspace, and we will name it Workspace. Let's open and copy the entire address. Go back and open Eclipse. Here, this is eclipse.exe, which is the application file, executable, and we will run this. It will ask for the workspace, and so that we have copied our workspace address, press OK. It will load all the required libraries, and here we are. This is the welcome screen of our Android Development Tools. Go to File menu, New, and click on this Android Application Project. It will ask for some details. Application name. Let us give App1. The project name and package name will be automatically assigned. Click Next. Create custom launcher icon. Create activity. Create project in Workspace. Click Next. We will leave it as it is right now. Click Next. And it asks for our activity, which is our main activity, and we will make it blank activity right now. You can choose from full screen activity, login activity, master details activity, and settings activity. We will choose the blank activity right now and press Next. Activity name and click Finish. It will create some files and load them for us. It may take some time. As we can see, our application is ready. This is our main activity.xml, and you can see all these controls that we can drag and drop into our activity. We will close this for now, and let's explore our project structure. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be covering the project structure of our Android application. This is our Android project and its name is App1. You can see there are several folders here. First is src, which is the source folder, and here we have a package which is com.example.app1. In this package we have one Java file which is main activity.java. Let's open this file, and as you can see, the ADT itself have developed this code for us, and this is some pre-built code for our Hello World application, which is automatically done by the ADT. All our activity sources will be placed here in our package. Then next is GEN, which is generated Java files, which are built config.java and r.java. Will not touch these files. Next is Android 4.2. It have this android.jar, which is a Java archive for Android platform. And you can see there is a bunch of packet in this archive. Then some Android dependencies are there. Next is assets. In this folder, all the assets will be placed. Next is binary, which holds the manifest file. Then libs. Here we have Android support version 4.jar, which is again a Java archive file. Then we have this res folder. Here res stands for resources. We have some drawable resources, some menus, values, and so on. But our interest is in the layouts. In this layout, we have this activity main.xml. Let's open this one. This is our activity, and these two are the main files with which we will be working most of the time. Then there is Android manifest.xml. Open it up, and it opens these XML file in its visual editor, the same as our activity visual editor. If we want to look at the activity.xml in its original form, we can click over this, and this is the actual XML file, and this is its graphical layout. The same way, app1 manifest, it is the actual XML file, and this is its manifest applications, permissions, and instrumentations. So this is our project structure, and our main activity.java, activity main.xml, and our manifest file will be the files with which we will be working most of the time during this Android development. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be learning about activities in Android development. Activity is a single focused thing that a user can do. So let's go ahead to our source. In our package, we have this main activity.java. Double click on this file to open. This is a very straightforward and simple Java code, which I'll explain you in a few minutes. Then go to res, which is our resource, and in layout, open this activity main.xml. This is a layout, and this layout is for our main activity. So we have our package, which is com.example.app1, and these is our imports, which is android.os.bundle and android.app.activity. So this android.app.activity package holds all the classes for working with activity, and android.view.menu. Now we will minimize it. Public class main activity extends activity. So we are inheriting from the activity class, and we have a method on create. It is a protected void method on create, then bundle saved instance state, which is the parameter, and in our this class we have super.onCreate saved instance state. This means that it is creating it from the saved instance, and we're calling one more method, which is set content view. This method sets the content view, and the view which we are setting is r.layout.activity_main. Now this is very important because what this statement says is we are loading the activity main layout. That means in our layout folder, this activity main.xml is being loaded when the activity is created. So on create event, we are calling r.layout_activity_main and making it the content view using set content view method. So basically we are setting this layout for our activity. This is our layout, and we have opened this in a graphical editor. This is the actual XML file, and this is its graphical layout. Now let's go ahead and run this application. Click on run, and here we'll find run or control F11. It asks us how to run it, and we will run it as Android application. Press OK. It may take some time. It asks, no compatible targets were found. Do you wish to add a new Android virtual device? Android virtual device is short of an emulator for our Android application, which works exactly as an Android device. We'll click yes. So here we will create new. Device name will be test, and you can choose from any of these devices. We'll select Galaxy Nexus or Nexus 4. Target will be Android 4.2 API level 17. Now you can select your own target and your own device targeting which you are creating this application. We will leave it all the things as they are. We are increasing the internal storage by making it 500 MB, and we are including 1 GB of SD card. Click OK. It has created one device for us, and let's start that. Click launch. It will take some time to launch. It will take much time when it is loading for the first time, so have patience. It is ready. Now click on OK, and this is our screen. Now go back again, close this Android Virtual Device Manager, go to Run and run it again. Now as you can see, our application is running and our activity has been started. But there is Auto Monitor Log Get. It says, would you like to ADT to automatically monitor logcat? We'll say yes and click OK. So this was the tutorial upon activities in Android. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be working with layouts. This is our application 1, and this application is created in our previous tutorial. It is our project app 1, and here we are at the layout, which is in the resources folder, and we have our activity main.xml. Now all the layouts have their own visual editors. We have our outline here, which will be resizing, and we will increase the size of the properties like this. There is a palette from which we can drag and drop controls to our layout. We'll drag it as well. And here we have a zoom in button, which will make our layout look a little bit bigger. So in this way, we will use the given space optimally. Now, to play with layouts in Android is very easy because of the given visual editor. Let's say we want this hello world here, and it is very easy. We can simply click things and drag them and place them where we want them to be. We have our title, which is app 1 here. Now let's say we want to add a button to our layout. As we have discussed, it is very easy. Go to the form widgets, click on button, simply drag it and place where we want that to be. And that is it. There are various controls given by the Android development tools, which are in this palette: form widgets, text fields, and different layouts: grid layout, linear layout, linear layout horizontal, relative layout, which is our current layout, frame layout, include other layout, fragment, table, table row, and space. Some composite controls: images and media, time and date. So for fun, let's add an analog clock to our application. Transitions, advanced, other, and some custom library views. So these are the layouts, and Let's save our file, save all, and go ahead and run our application. As we know, it will take some time, and here it is. This is the clock that we have added. We have a button here and our hello world text. We can select any of the control and we can edit its property using this property over here. So let's say if you want to change the name text of this button, we'll simply make it click here. As you can see, click here. We'll center it. Let us save again and run it. It is installing right now. And as we can see, the name is changed. So this is how easy to add controls in our layout and edit various properties of these controls. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be learning about text in layouts. Now texts are very important and it represents the information in a readable form. So in our palette, we are in the form widgets. We will just click the control that we want to add and we will just drag it to the layout, and as you can see, it has been added to our layout. Now I am selecting the location, then select it, and here all the properties of that particular control is being displayed. So let's say we want to change the text and we want to make it our title, and as you can see, the text has been changed. Then if we want to change the color of the text, go here, and this time we will use hex tags. Let's say we want to make it red color and it is red. Here you can see some properties in the bold because they are very important, so we'll go through them. Text size is also very important. Because we have selected the large, the size is set automatically, but if we want to set it ourselves, we can do that from here, and you can change any property and that changes will take place in the layout. But this text is just a plain text which is being shown to the user. The user cannot interact with that. For interacting with text, we need edit text, which is in the text fields, and select the first one and place wherever we want to. Now this control is our edit text, as you can see here, and we will let it be as it is. Now let's save this file and have a look how this looks in our device. Save all and run. As we can see, our application has been launched. This is the text, and from here we can give inputs. Let's say so this is how we can edit text. But what if we want to access this text in our application, which is Very easy. Once again, we are into our main activity.java file, and here on create, first we have to set a reference to that particular edit text. We'll name it et is equal to. We will use a method which is find view by id, and the parameter will be r.id. So we will find it by id, and as we can see here is edit text. So we have referenced our edit text, but we have to cast this as edit text. So we will do that. Remember, to have this edit text, we must import this android.widget.edit text, or simply android.widget.star. So now we are having this et as our reference, and we can use a method get text, which will get the editable text, and use the toString method to access its text. So this is how we can access the text which is editable by user. So this was about the text in our Android application. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be learning about buttons in layout in our Android application. Buttons are very important, and it is one of the very essential part of any application. Go to the form widgets and we will find button. This is how we can simply add buttons to our applications. When we click on button, in the right hand corner, we will find various properties of this button. Let's say text, hint, text color, and there are a numerous properties available. Let us just rename this by click here, and it is done. So this is a simple button, and let's learn how to reference this. Remember, its ID is button 1. This is our main activity.java, and we can reference to button using the button class. Button bt is equal to, we are casting it to button, and we will use the same find view by id method, and its id will be r.id dot button 1. Now the reason this button is not accepted is because we haven't saved it yet. So let us save it, and as you can see, it is valid now. So this is how we can reference it to this button, and we can do some operations on this button. Now let's go ahead and have a look at some other type of button, like this toggle button. It is very important when sometimes in your applications there is a need of toggling and switching over things. So we will see its effect when we run our application. But for now, let us add one more type of button. Go to Images and Media and select this image button. Now this image button is very useful when you have a customized application, we'll just make it OK, and by default it will set the application icon. But here I have one image which is this pick one. I'll just drag it to the drawable HDPI and I'll select OK. And this is pick1.jpg. So to set that image as the button, click on the image button and go to the source, and we'll select this pick one. Here is the preview of that button and click OK. And as we can see, the button has been added. We can always resize it. Now let's go ahead and save it and run our application to see the effect of all these added things. As we know, it will take some time. So this is our normal button. This is our toggle button, which is on and off. And this is our image button, which looks exactly like the image. So this was the tutorial upon buttons in layout of our Android application. Thank you. Welcome friends. In our previous tutorial, we have studied about layouts and different controls from layout. In this tutorial, we will be working with Android manifest. Manifest file is the information about information. We have opened this file in its visual editor and we are in the first tab, which is manifest. Here is the default package for our application, which is, so it is com.example.app1. We have our version code, which is the major version of our application. Then the version name. Then we have shared user ID and label if we are sharing this application with anyone. There are several extras in the manifest that you can add. If we drag it down, we can find links to applications, permission, instrumentation, or XML source, which is here: application, permission, instrumentation, and XML source. If you look at here, it is the export wizard, which helps us to export our application package so that we can install our application into a real device and use our application in it. In the application tab, you'll find several options for the application name, its theme, label, icon, logo, description, and etc. These all things makes it very accessible and usable. This is permission tab, which is very important. In this, we'll add all the permission that our application requires to run, such as permission to access the internet over the device or permission to access the camera over the device, instrumentation, and when we edit all these things, the values will be changed here and we can change the values directly into this XML source if we want to. In the manifest, we have this documentation link where the documentation from the Android SDK for Android manifest.xml is available. This was the tutorial upon the Android manifest.xml file. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial, we will be creating one application that takes an input and on a click of a button, it opens up another activity and shows the text in it. So, we will divide this tutorial in three parts and we will start drawing the layout in this tutorial. So let us start. For that, first we will need a text box. So let's add edit text from our text fields and let's resize it. So this is our edit text where we will write the text and then we will need a button, and to add a button we will go to form widgets and drag a button over here. We will rename the text from button to click here, and its text has been changed. Now we will save this file. From the next tutorial we will be coding application. Thank you. Welcome friends. In this tutorial we will be coding our application. We have designed the application and we have prepared the main activity layout, and in this tutorial we will be creating the second activity which invoke when we click on the button. First of all, we'll right click upon our project, go to new and we'll choose other. Here we'll select Android activity and click next. We will select a blank activity, click next, which will ask us for the activity name. We will name it second activity and the layout name will be activity underscore second. Click on finish, and as you can see in source we have this second activity.java file and activity second.xml file. We will need a text here, so we'll drag this text and move it here. We will remove this hello world because we don't need that. We'll save it. Now let's go to our main activity.java. Now I will copy and paste some code, but first let me show you. I have imported android.widget, android.view.view.onClickListener, and android.content.intent. Now I have written some code and I will paste it just right here and explain you what is it. This is the code. We have given a reference to our button. Let's open activity main. This is the button we are referencing, which is find view by ID, and we are referencing our edit text 1, which is this, and we are referencing it by et1. Now b.setOnClickListener is an event listener to the click event on our button, and we are creating one anonymous function which is on click, and it means that when you click the button this function will be executed. Now intent is equal to a new intent, which is taking two parameters. First is the invoker, which is main activity.this. That means which activity is invoking that intent should be there. And the second is the destination, which is second activity dot class. So we are invoking the second activity dot java, which is second activity dot class, and we are invoking it by main activity. So that's why it's here. Then we are putting some extra using the intent dot put extra method. We are putting a new string, which is my name, and this is the value which we are passing along with this string, which is hello, and we are concatenating that with our et1.getText.toString, which we have already covered in our text tutorials. And then we are starting the activity start activity intent, which is our second activity dot class. If you want this code, you can pause the video here and write down the code yourself. We are saving this file. In our second activity, we are referencing our text view, but first we have to import Android widget, and now it is perfect. We are referencing our text view, which is this. It's text view 1, and we are referencing it, and we are setting the text using the tv.setText method, which is getIntent.getExtra.getString my name. So if you remember, in the intent we have put some extra and the string name was my name, and we can access the string using getIntent.getExtra.getString and then passing the string name. So that's it for this tutorial. We will be running this application in our next tutorial. Thank you. Welcome friends. We are continuing from our previous tutorial where we have learned how to invoke another activity from one and send some extra data to the another activity. As we have coded in the previous tutorial, we will now run our app on the emulator. For that, we will go to Run My First App and click on that button. Our application is being executed and it is starting the intent. There it is. This is our main activity, which have an edit text box and a button. Click on edit text and write down something. Here I'll type guys. As we click on say hello button, you can see this is the second activity and it has taken the data from our first activity and displayed this. We can do various operations as we want to show. This is how we can start another activity from the main activity. Thank you.